right, welcome back for our milestone edition of Chasing Ghosts. This is the video series where I talk about those hard to find, those impossible to find comics, those high ratio, rare books that you just don't see on the wall at your LCS that you got to get lucky and do a little bit of legwork to go and track down in a lot of cases. Hopefully you're still enjoying this series as well as everything else here on the channel. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Please like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel as we are on our way to 3K. And since this is a milestone 100th edition of Chasing Ghosts, I am going to be giving away a 1 in 100 comic book. So I have this, was given to me by my buddy Ali, who also writes over on CBSI as just a throw in on an order I had from his eBay store, and he sent this to me as a thank you. I don't know. So I'm going to give it back out to you viewers as a thank you. And make sure you go and check out AnZ Comics over on eBay as well, since that is who gave it to me. And I'm just going to, and he didn't give it to me for this purpose. He gave it to me to give it to me. But I decided, since we're doing a 100th episode, I decided I'm going to give it to you. So one of you viewers out there can have a free 1 in 100 comic all on my dime. All you got to do to get the giveaway is, after you watch this video, just comment down below with, I don't know, your favorite 1 in 100 incentive, because that's what we're going to cover today. For the 100th episode, 100 Chasing Ghosts, a 1 in 100 giveaway, we're going to be covering all 1 in 100 comic books. So tell me your favorite 1 in 100 comic book down in the comments below, and I'll run a wheel at the start of next week's episode and give that book away to whoever gets picked. Again, just a little fun little stuff to give back to you, the viewers. So again, thank you for all the support, and thank you for checking out all of our content here on the channel. And if you want to know what books I did select for our special 100th episode, all you got to do is hang out for a few seconds after the intro, and I will be right back. Okay, so as I mentioned there in the open, we are celebrating our 100th episode. And with that, we are going to be doing all 1 in 100 incentive variants. To keep on topic and keep on form. And like I said, I'm giving away a 1 in 100 as well. So you remember what you got to do. Comment down below your favorite 1 in 100. Could even be one of these books I'm covering today. If you decide, just to be lazy, you can just pick one of these. And you'll be entered, right into that contest. And with that, let's get started. So our first book of the week is a somewhat recent one. Conan, Serpent War, #1. Remember when Conan was at Marvel again? Well, not anymore. But for a stretch he was. And Conan, Serpent War, David Finch cover with Moon Knight right there on the cover, was a 1 in 100 from December 2019. So only a few years ago on this one. Print run, estimated around 47,000. So our incentive potentially is 478 copies. Easy to do the math on these ones for 1 in 100s. We just got to divide that number by 100. Again, these are just estimates. These are not set in stone. These are not concrete numbers. We'll get into that one of our examples coming up a little bit later. But best information we have available, Comicron print run numbers divided by the incentive ratio is where I'm getting these figures, just so you know where they're coming from. With that, CGC census, only 45. So not too bad. I remember when this book came out, it was a little hot coming out of the gates. It was a 1 in 100, David Finch, Moon Knight. Everybody was looking at Moon Knight, looking ahead to his show. 45 copies on this Finch cover. Not too bad. 31 9/8, 10 9/6, and then a few others rounding that out. Copies of this have sold recently. Raw copies selling for about $90, $105, $130. So lingering right around that ratio mark ain't too bad, considering, it's a few years old now. Granted, it's not a super expensive one like we've seen in the past, but it's still lingering. It's still holding. It's still holding, which is impressive alone. And with that, let's look at what's available. Well, available copies, however, these are all of them. These are all the copies I could find on the market at the moment, and they are listed at $500 for a 9/8, $370 for a 9.6, another 9.8 for $475, another 9.8 for $500, and then it looks like a final 9.8 for $655 from CBCS. So 5 copies, I think. Not too bad. But unfortunately, you know how this show works by now. One or none is what we're looking for if we're going to call them ghosts. Otherwise, we're just going to call this one hard to find. But let's move on to our next example, our next 1 in 100 incentive book, and that is this. This was another popular one. I like this. This is a Mark Brooks. This is Uncanny X-Men number 4, December 2018. So, a year before the last book, 1 in 100 incentive. Gorgeous. Gorgeous cover, right? I dig it. Print run a little bit higher than the last one at about 59,000. So we've got about 591 of this incentive potentially if we're doing that 1 in 100 ratio math. About, just under 600. Only 40. Oh, is this incorrect too? All right. So with a quick edit, we do have the correct CGC book up there now. 138 copies of this one in the census with 95 9/8 and 39 6s, and then only a few others. That's a lot for this book. And a lot of these sell. Again, I told you it was a popular book, so not surprised seeing 9/8 selling for $215. Best offers on 250, 244. Raw copy sold for 109, and another raw sold for 182.50. So, pricing can be a little up and down, but by and large, this is $100 to $200 in higher grade. So, graded or not. As far as what's available, not as many is available as what was sold, but there are a couple. We have a 9.8 looking for $289, another 9.8 looking for $800, and then a 9.6 CGC SS with a remark looking for $600. So, remarks and signed ones, pricing could be a little bit inconsistent because, again, you're paying for something that's not, it's outside of the norm. So it's not apples to apples when you do those comparisons, but pretty high stakes there on those 9.8s, if you ask me. That said, next book, another 1 in 100 incentive for you. This time, we're going back in time a little bit more. We're going back to Wolverine Origins number 10. Yes, that first appearance of Daken, however you say his name, with that third claw variant. That is the variant here, as the regular edition of this cover doesn't have that third claw coming out of the inside. That's a bit of a spoiler from reading the story. So this Joe Quesada cover from January of 2007 is the 1 in 100 incentive, and it was a spoiler cover. Decent number, decent print run on this one. Almost 100,000. So there is almost 1,000 on this incentive out there. In the CGC census, there's actually over 1,000. So yeah, let's look at that for a second. We do this basic math. Estimated print run, 98,000. Incentive, maybe on about 980 on the incentive. Best estimate guesses. But granted, I'm not surprised that most of these are graded. We can't say that every single copy has been graded because there are 1,040 in the census for this book. So there's more in the census than there are in our estimate. How could that be possible? Well, again, 1, it's an estimated number. 2, even amongst the graded copies here, this does not account for people who might crack, press, and resubmit. So, as you can see, there are 152 9.8s. There are 336 9.6s, 230 9.4s, 139 9.2s, and 105 9.0s. People are getting any copy they have graded, and there's a chance that somebody could take a shot on those 9.2s, those 9.4s, even those 9.6s, crack them, press them, resubmit them to try to add to that 9.8 number. It's not unheard of. It happens a lot. Could that be why this number looks inflated? It's possible. It also could be our estimates off, and there are more than 1,000 copies of this book. I don't know any of that for certain. Just showing you information as it is presented to me. So you make that call on what you think. All I can tell you is, regardless of how many there actually are, it's not cheap. So, raw copy, $126.50 with 25 bids. We had a copy of the 1 in 100 with the regular, $300 best offer on $300. We also had $250 raw copy with 19 bids. And then we had a 9.6 sell for $600. So, it's not a cheap book. And asking prices, I found more than the 3 that I found here, but these give you a ballpark that right now, a 9.0, $300, raw $450, $650 for 9.6. So it's definitely not a cheap book. However many there are, this is a popular one. First appearance of one of Wolverine's kids, and pretty cool cover to boot. And it's a 1 in 100 incentive, so yeah, it's got a lot of things going for it. Bright white cover, kind of tough to get in that higher grade, as you saw that grading breakdown. But I think many people are trying that double dip. Okay, what do we got for you next? I got another 1 in 100 for you. This time, it's Spider-Man 2. No, not 2. I'm saying Spider-Man number 1, 1 in 100 incentive variant by Sarah Pichelli. I do like, yeah, Peter, you got Miles in the reflection there. You get that duality kind of things. This is the first time they were meeting, in this series. There was a Spider-Man 2. That's why I was saying that, but there is a second series, and you got that cool Tedesco cover on that one. But here, 1 in 100, June 2012. This is one you don't see all that often. Even though the print run is high at about almost 95,000, we have almost 950 on the 1 in 100 incentive. There are still 92 in the census with 45 9/8s, 26 9/6s, and then a few others. Copies have sold, and they sell for decent amounts. I mean, look at that. Raw, $1,000. 9/8s, $13.75 with 43 bids. $17.50 buy it now. Best offer on about $2,200 on this one. So not cheap at all. And this one only had one copy listed when I was looking at this yesterday. And it's a raw with 13 watchers looking for $500. So pretty expensive, right? All right. Moving on with yet another 1 in 100 incentive. We have an Adam Hughes. You guys know I'm a little biased. I did manage to work an Adam Hughes in here. This is Spider-Gwen number 1. And yes, this was a popular cover, and this was a popular series. She was a popular character. So, Adam Hughes, February 2015, 1 in 100 print run. Very high at over 250,000. So, there are potentially over 2,500 copies of this 1 in 100 incentive out there. In the CGC census, we have a healthy 705 graded copies with 4 9/9s, 605 9/8s, 55 9/6s, and whatever else. I mean, it doesn't matter at that point. There's over 600 9/8s, and there are 4 9/9s. High grade apparently is not as tough as you would think. But don't let that fool you. This still sells. More than this out there has sold. 9/8, $785. 1 in 100 9/8 signed and sketched by Latour, $425 with 28 bids. Actually less on the yellow label than on the blue label. Raw copy with 6 bids for $332. And there was another 9/8 that was a $500 buy. So still not cheap. Despite how many copies could potentially be out there, this is not a cheap book. And I actually only found 2. I thought I would find another pile, but I found 2. There's a 9/8 looking for $810 on my comic shop, and then there was an auction that ended earlier this afternoon. I'm sorry I didn't check to see what it ended at, but it was a 9/8 SS that was starting at $650. So see how that one ended up. See, again, maybe if I redid this right now, there would only been the one listed, and then we would call this a ghost, but that wouldn't feel right. Just going off of the timing of when I did the deck, there were 2. And with that, let's move to the next book. The next book is all new Marvel .1. Is this all new? I don't know. Marvel .1. Marvel .1, 1 in 100. This is a Nick Bradshaw cover. This is a sketch edition of a color version of this book. This is the first Sam Alexander, I believe, inside this book. So it has some interest and has seen some interest on the back issue market of the last few years. A healthy 113,000 print run. So our incentive has potentially over 1,100 copies for a 1 in 100. That's no small feat. And like I said, graded copies, we have plenty. 93 is not a tiny number either. 69 6s, 69 8s, 25 9/6s, and then a few others. Only one sale, though. 9/6, 23 bids, got one up to $332. June 6th, so just a couple weeks ago. But there is a nice little pile available right now. So if you did want to, buy one. Obviously, like I said, people have talked about this book. Spec on Sam Alexander is real. It's out there. We still know we're getting something from Nova. We still don't know which Nova. So this is still in play. And it ain't cheap. 9.4, $700. 9.8, almost $3,000. 9.6, $1,250. 9.8, $2,500. Raw, about $1,000. So, not a cheap book at all. Keep that in mind, too, as you go shopping. As we plan to wrap up our 1 in 100 special with a series of 1 in 100 variants from one of my favorites, Amazing Spider-Man. Granted, maybe not my favorite run of the title. One moment in time, as we go back to that glorious giving up the marriage to Mephisto, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. That gave us Brand New Day. This was the ending of that. So this was what led into Brand New Day. And, yeah, it was an interesting run. Joe Quesada gave us some pretty solid covers here. Granted, I believe this might be the 1 in 50. I'm going to show you the color versions because I like the color versions immensely better than black and white. I've said that on multiple occasions, and I just want to show it. I want to show the completed finished art because I do prefer this edition, even if it is technically easier to find. But the one we're going to be discussing as far as numbers go is the black and white 1 in 100 version. So with that, Joe Quesada, 1 in 100, July 2010, one moment in time, MJ giving up the marriage, their memories together to save Aunt May. Okay, whatever. Again, not the greatest story in the world, but it was what they needed. They felt they needed to do to keep Peter young. I still think they just should have taken those next steps and just let him start a family, let him grow up, and then we could have had Miles take over. We could have had another Spider-Man. Maybe this Spider-Boy could have come into play back then. I don't know. That said, 68,000 on the estimated print run, so our incentive is about 682 potential copies. Census has 98, which is no small number, with 199, 65 98s, 22 96s, and then a few others. Had one sale, best offer on $200. I was going to dig into it to find out what they accepted, but I felt like it wasn't all that important. You get the idea. It's going to be above ratio. Best offer on $200 for that raw copy back in June 7th. So again, not that long ago, only a couple of weeks. And we only got one copy available. One out there right now, and it's a 9.2, looking for $225. So, interesting. Next issue. Once again, I'll show you the color version, but what we're talking about here is the black and white. 1 in 100, which is, again, Joe Quesada, August 2010 at this time. 1 in 100 incentive. Print run dips a little bit to 67,000, so we're looking at about 670 on that incentive. 60 copies in the census with 2 99s, 47 98s, 6 96s, and then a couple of others. No sales. No sales the last 3 months on this particular issue, but 2 copies available. There's a 9.8 look for $300, and then there's a raw asking $250. So pick your poison there. Next issue, 2 left, 640, ASM 640. This is the color version. Maybe not my favorite, and the incentive is also really not my favorite. I don't know, just uneven. I don't know. I don't like it all that much, but it is what it is. Joe Quesada, August 2010, once again. So they double shipped that month. 1 in 100 incentive. Print run at this time was actually the highest of the group at 73,000. So we're looking at about 736 potentially on the incentive. In the census, we have 81 with now a 3 spot for 9.9s. It's a lot of 9.9s today. 61 9.8s, 11 9.6s, and then a few others kind of rounding everything out. Much like the last couple of books, none sold in the last 3 months, as no one is looking for that one moment in time, even though we're getting Mephisto. And we kind of played out the story a little bit in the movies. I mean, granted, everybody forgot Spider-Man, so they can kind of restart. I don't know. So hopefully we don't see this adapted. We don't need this. But if you did want this, you got one shot. $100. There's a copy out there. $100 raw for 1. So still right around ratio. And our last book, as the storm is starting to hit, as I film my last show for today, for this week, Here we are, 641. Spidey's fading away as she sleeps. Nice little cover, right? But again, I prefer the color. Black and white's not terrible in this case, though. Black and white's not terrible. Actually, black and white's not terrible in most of these, but I still prefer the color. But ain't too bad, as Spidey is apparently disappearing as that goes their relationship to save Aunt May, because I don't know why still. Joe Quesada, September 2010, 100. I mean, I know why. You don't have to explain it to me in the comments. I'm just saying I was not a big fan of this storyline. Estimated print run, about 68,000. Incentive, about 683 copies in the census for this one. So this one came back down to the levels of the first two of the series. Only 74 in comparison to the rest. And no 99s this time. Hey, no 99s. 52 98s, though. And 12 96s. And then a few others filling out that 74 number. But like the others, none sold the last 3 months. And when I went looking, one lone copy out there. And it's a 9.4 that was looking for $100. So there you have it. 100 episodes of Chasing Ghosts, done with a series of 10 1 in 100 comic books, as well as me giving away a 1 in 100 comic book. This is for Amazing Spider-Man 23, by the way. The Mysterio Alex Ross sketch cover, the timeless cover. 1 in 100 incentive could be yours. All you got to do is comment down below and tell me your favorite 1 in 100 incentive variant. And I'll put you on a wheel, and we'll find out who wins it next week. But with that, let's wrap up this week with 6 of our 10 we'll call hard to find, as they had at least 2, if not more, copies available. So, Serpent War, Uncanny, Wolverine, Spider-Gwen, the Marvel Point 1, and one of the One Moment in Time Spideys. While these 4, yes, we got 4, either had 1 or none available out there right now. I believe these all had 1. But we're talking about that Spider-Man number 1, and then 3 of the One Moment in Time 1 in 100 black and white sketches from Joe Quesada. So those 4, since there is 1 or none, those this week will get the Ghost moniker. So let me know what you think in the comments. Once again, make sure you comment down below so you get in on that free giveaway. I'll again, like I said, I'm going to mail it out to whoever wins. So all you got to do is follow the instructions on how to win, and then once you win, get me your address, and I'll mail it to you. And with that, thanks for stopping by and checking this out. I appreciate all the support. Again, thank you, Ali, again, for that book. Make sure you guys go check out him on eBay, AnZ Comics, and I'll even put a link down below. I know we don't usually talk about sellers and things like that often, but Ali's a good dude. I bought books from him a few times. If you like pre-buying books on eBay, you can. Then there's a spot you can go and do it. So with that all said, thanks again for checking this out. I appreciate you all. Make sure you come back for all the content, and I will see you all later. All right, bye.